Yeah.
It really depended on what I fucking did that day.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
if I was up in my shit doing my thing, like, yeah, I would get my ass beat and we would fight all the time, you know, but I don't blame him.
Different time.
Different time back then.
Dude. Welcome to another episode of the Powerless2Powerful Podcast. My name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic and addict. As always, our mission is to share experience, strength, and hope across multiple media platforms. The story of addiction and the road to recovery. We are not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step based organizations or groups in any way, but we're back. And my special guest is here, Ronnie, no matter what. What's up, Ron?
Hey, what's going on, Jay?
I mean, you're wearing all black today. Is that the death of the industry?
Well, you know it.
Yeah,
you know
because we're here, brother.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
big shout out to Desert Recovery Centers.
Yeah.
We're in a new studio. Shout out our marketing
Look
team.
at this.
This place looks beautiful and professional, and we couldn't even be happier. And we got another Paisan in the building. Shout out, Joey's here.
Joey.
But I cannot wait any longer for this, Ron.
Oh, but okay.
We have a special guest today.
Oh, he's special.
He's special in so many ways. We have Blayne Archer on the show today. Blayne Archer is Desert Recovery Center's business development or missions rep extraordinaire, all-star in the recovery community. And to work in this industry for so long and have a good name, that means you're doing something right. And that's why we have you on the team, Blayne. So let's welcome Blayne to the show.
Hey, Blayne.
Oh, he's
Hey.
clapping.
I'm clapping.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Here we
God.
Glad
go.
to be here, gentlemen.
Did you talk to
excitement.
my wife today? Because I give myself a clap in
Yesterday.
the shower every morning.
Yesterday. She emailed me yesterday.
Yeah, and then I put on 50 Cent, I'm the man.
Ooh.
And that's how I get my day
Teach her how
started.
to Dougie.
Yeah, Dougie. Just thanks for taking the time, Blayne, to just really to be here today. And anytime we ever have someone on the show, Ron, I always like to talk about how we met, right? Like how the hell did we even get here?
How did we get here?
There's one person I want to shout out, but I don't want to shout out his name. You know who I'm talking about?
I do.
You know who I'm talking about? Masquerading as a billing company. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not even going to say the name, but there is something that came extremely amazing out of that relationship. We met Adam Leonard. What do you think about Adam?
He's amazing, right? Adam is one of the hardest working men that I know. He keeps pace and surpasses our work ethic. We're known for our work ethic, but Adam goes, and it makes sense that him and Blayne are very close, and we'll find out about that. They have the same ethic.
I mean, how close are you guys? Like playing swords close, or are we talking about tag? I'm not even going to go there. Another
Duck,
show,
duck,
another
goose,
time.
a little grab ass,
Duck, duck,
you know what I
goose.
mean?
So how do you know Adam?
He was with my oldest sister, Melissa, for 11 years. So he's my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he's the
your
father
brother-in-law.
of my
Oh,
niece.
the competitiveness makes sense
and
now.
your children,
Our cousins. First cousins.
And I want to give us a shout out because we're girl dads.
We are girl dads.
They're the greatest gift in the world until they turn 13, dude. I was on a Zoom call with my
God.
wife, and I seen my daughter walk by with her friend in a bikini, dude, and I'm thinking about that sentencing chart, and I'm thinking about what an F6 is going to be with 23 priors slapping the shit out of a kid. Because it's coming. But right now, man, they're the greatest gift in the world, just having these daughters and getting to see your daughter, and just it just warms my heart. But I want to ask you a couple questions real quick, dude, because I like to kind of get a feel for the thing, right? What made you get into business development, being in missions? Like, what made you want to do that part of it? Because we're going to talk about your professional progression. We're going to talk about everything that got you to that point, because you don't just start out in missions for the most part. Most people don't. So what made you gravitate towards that aspect of the job?
It wasn't my choice. It was kind of forced upon me. And so I was at Soul Surgery for many, many years. And we
love their house, by the way. We
do.
remodeled it, made it look like a real
ours
recovery
now.
center. Yeah, big thank you.
So so every morning we had an 8 o'clock morning meeting, right, with the whole staff, checking in with the clients and everything. And we had just ramped up our marketing team. And at that time, I was the clinical manager. So I managed the clinic. And he came in, John Morgan came in and was like, hey, I need you to help
do
out.
this now.
I need you to help out with admissions and BD. Temporarily, you need to do clinical and this on your off time. So I was clinical by day, and then 4
Taking calls
to
at
11 and weekends, I was taking admissions on a part-time basis. But I was so good at it, I was bringing in more people than the full-time BD admissions. He's like, you're done being clinical. Now you're going to become admissions. I'm like, okay, cool. And then within 3 months, he made me the BD business development director. And I was the business development director for many, many years, just out of hey, this is what you're doing now.
And God, and we talk about this too, Ron, all the time. We talk to our staff, and dude, this job is easy, bro. It's all about connection. It's all about action and time management. If you're missing one of those things, you don't think that you're capable to do the job, or it's too much, or it's not enough. But that's what I love about Ron, about you, about Adam, about Johnny, about Emmett, about Taylor, and about all the people in leadership, because we work hard. But the biggest component is, and the reason why you're so successful at, is you lead with your heart, right? And so what I always like to ask people though too, what's the biggest challenge you face, would you say, when you're getting those calls and you're trying to get people in, and because you're the first line, right? You're getting the crisis calls, you're getting the drunk calls. I'm sure you get cussed out all the time.
Quite a bit.
I'll go back and listen to the calls. I should do that today, as a matter of fact. But the point is, what's the biggest challenges that you face?
Well, I mean, obviously dealing with alcoholics and addicts, the first and most important question is, do they really want this? What are the reasons and why these individuals are coming into, treatment? And it's usually because of the PO, mom, dad, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, whatever the case may be. So the difficult challenge is trying to get these people to come in and not believing in themselves.
Yeah.
You have to convince them that they're, powerful enough and have enough willingness and support to, make it to long-term recovery.
Sure.
And then I would say the other component to the most difficult aspect of this job is not being able to treat the people that we can't help.
That's the killer, dude.
That's the hardest part. Is
And
turning
dude,
away.
we have done like 20 plus scholarships because we lead with our heart, dude.
I would say more than that.
More than that. I mean, my partner might listen to this.
Sorry, Ty. Yeah.
And we did 1.5.
Because it happens,
Because ultimately, Ron, it all comes down to meeting where they're at, right?
100%. And one piece of feedback that I hear quite often about you is the extra mile you go for the families, like the follow-up phone calls, because obviously when this is a family disease, and when the family are reaching out for help, right, you get the follow-up calls. You get the good ones, the ones that they're having success in their next level of care leaving us, but then you get the ones that the tragedies, and you're case managing families. Now you're meeting families where they're at, and you're giving them guidance, and you're giving them support. And I hear that quite often with our mission team as a whole, but your name comes up a lot. Hey, I spoke to Blayne, he told me, he suggested this, or have you heard of this? And that's something that I hear a lot, your name around.
You have, the thing is, addiction's not a spectator sport.
Right.
Everybody gets to play, and that's the biggest component to addiction, is not only treating the addict, right, the individual, but you have the family that we also have to treat, right? And typically, like, we'll have the family come in and do family sessions or, couples therapy. But after hours, who do they call?
Yeah,
they call you.
Because they're the only number that they have typically a lot of times.
That, and if it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and, they just had an issue and there's a problem dealing with, we're therapists now. Not only are we BD and admissions and everything else, like, we're therapists at 10 o'clock at night, But I do it because people did that to my family when I was in treatment, when I was in jail. You know what I mean? Like, they were supportive. So I try to give back what was so freely given to me and my family.
And I want to really talk about your journey and how we got to this point. And the last question I want to ask you, just because I want to hear it, what's the, because you've had a lot of experience in this industry. You've been in this industry for 10 years, let's just say, ish. 9 years, right?
9 years.
You got sober in 2015, started right after that. So yeah, about 9 years, right? So you've seen a lot, you've been around a lot in the same type of vertical that we're in now in this insurance game, and treating clients at the highest standard. So when you look at DRC and you look at the other players in the game or old players in the game that are no longer around, what do you think the difference is between us and between them? Like, you have, because you have a ton of different experience, and and if there's things you want to say that we can do better, let's talk about those things, because every treatment center can do better.
Sure.
Like, everybody can do better, especially you, Ron.
Yeah.
You can do a lot better.
I can.
Like, a lot better. A lot, dude. Okay? I'm just kidding, dude. Ron is amazing. But what do you see? What makes us stand out?
Well, I mean, there's multiple different things, right? But the two things that come to my mind right off the jump is, if you look at our facilities, right? They're beautiful, drop dead gorgeous facilities, 8,000, 9,000 square foot. They're environments where people can truly heal and recover and feel comfortable where they're at, And that's one component to it. And looking at the community and other, treatment centers, our facilities are just a little bit nicer, And that's one piece, like I said, but anyone can have money and buy nice facilities. If you look and trickle down to our clinical and medical team, that is where our treatment center separates from the rest of the community, hands down. And the biggest component on why, Desert Recoveries, we created it, was a need or a necessity for mental health, primary and only. And in order to do that, we have the clinical psychologists and the postdoctoral individuals running the groups and conducting the individual sessions. Where else are you going to find that?
You're not going to find it anywhere. And I love that you said that.
You know what I mean?
You know what?
You're not.
And I'm just glad you brought that up, and you kind of talked about a little bit, which we're going to get into, the progression of you professionally. But that's what Ron does. Ron's our clinical quarterback, right? And that's more than a full-time job, plus compliance, plus all the documentation. You want to talk about 7 days a week being all in. I mean, it's a lot, but you can do better, Ron. Just saying, I can do better too.
I'm going to try.
You're going to try to do better?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother.
No, try.
You got Keep Moo open?
I do.
I know you do.
Open over here.
I know you do.
Hey, I just want to add on to that real quick, what you were saying about the professionals, right? Because that's what you're talking about, is the level of professionals that we have. I mean, we have the clinical psychologists, the postdocs, and then we have the plethora of other students that are working on getting their doctoral. But, we have LISACs that come in and just do a group.
Two different ones, yeah.
Yeah, we have two different licensed that could be clinical directors at any other facility in the land, and they come in and facilitate a group on a Monday and a Tuesday.
And a Friday
they just come into one group.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you get that level of professionalism, that knowledge, led by licensed professionals? And it's not just them doing the groups, it's them also giving that information to our BHTs, supporting them, guiding them, teaching them ethics, teaching them how to be responsible BHTs, and to be able to be that extension of that clinical team and the medical team. Amazing nurses, Dr. Tapati, the whole thing. And I agree with you. That's what sets us apart.
Absolutely. Hands down. Right.
And that's what makes us us. Big shout out to the partners in Desert Recovery Centers, because they gave us three, Adam, the team, the leadership team, they gave us the ability to build a company based on what all of us have seen in our professional experience in the industry. And if we always say, if we had a chance to do it, this is how we would do it. And we would have RNs and MDs and MPs and doctors facilitating groups around the clock, 2 trauma sessions a week. We'd actually be holistic, where you get a massage every week. You get a chiropractor session. You get a session with a personal trainer. You get a session with soft wave therapy. You get a session with breath work. You get a yoga session. That's every week, coupled with 2 trauma sessions, coupled with doctor-led groups, LISAC-led groups, postdoctoral groups. Then we get the guys like us with the lived experience to come in, and then we do the afternoon group. Then H&I comes in and blows their hair back with hope and love and laughter.
Sure.
And that's what makes us so successful, because 30 days is such a short period of time. And us all being members of the recovery community, we know how precious that 30 days is. So being the first line of defense with Blayne and being able to talk them through everything they're going, coach them all the way to the door. You pick them up, you bring them, you come see them. You come see them multiple times. You get calls from the family. We're coordinating care. We're doing all of these things because it's the right way to do it, dude. Right? And that's what makes us us. But I want to get jiggy with it now, brother. Okay. Because every journey starts somewhere, dude. And Ron, he is one of us.
Yeah, he is.
I think he might have shot up with hooker blood, dude. I don't know, dude. Did you?
Oh, that maybe.
Maybe. Nah, he didn't.
Some toilet water was definitely involved.
He didn't. Toilet water, you're like, Hep B, thank you, God. Please don't let me get it. Okay. But every journey starts somewhere, Blayne. And so we were actually born at the same hospital.
We were.
Good Samaritan.
Yep. Thunderbird Hospital.
Thunderbird Hospital. We were born in the same hospital. And you grew up on 67th Avenue in Deer Valley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up on 67th Avenue in Thunderbird. I went to Cactus High School, right? You went to Mountain Ridge. I knew some people over there. Shout out.
Some acquaintances.
Some shout outs. Just kidding. I was only kidding, right? But what I really want to talk about, and anytime we have anyone on the show, because our family dynamic really shapes us, right? But there's no set way to say if your parents did X, Y, and Z, you won't be X, Y, and Z. Because when I look over my history with my family, I don't foresee any trauma Truthfully, I don't, right? They're still married. They've supported me. They've loved me. I had every opportunity in life to be successful. Did 10 years in prison, dude. Shot up with hooker blood. Okay.
Sounds a little bit more fun to me.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
It was an accident. But I want you to kind of share about that because Braun, he started using narcotics at 6 years old, brother. You know, so why don't you just kind of talk about a little bit about the family dynamic, Blayne, a little bit about why you were on narcotics at 6 years old.
6 months old.
6 months old, excuse me. Jesus. And just really talk about how that shaped you and the, you know, what you learned, what you saw, because that's what we see. We see and we learn, right? And if you've never had a description or you've never seen what a healthy relationship looks like, well, then how do you expect to have one if you don't know and you've never seen it, right? And that's what we do so well at Desert Recovery Centers. And I love that you brought up the family component, doing family therapy, couples therapy, because we have the ability to do that, right? And maybe some therapy when you were younger might have helped things, right? But the thing is, we're not
tried.
ready.
It didn't work.
Oh, it didn't work, right?
I
So
wasn't
why don't you
ready.
share a little bit about that? Just the family dynamic and just that progression.
The family,
Just share, yeah. Just
from the
take it from there.
childhood?
Yeah, just take it from
So
there.
I mean, obviously, my childhood wasn't the picture perfect, you know, lifestyle that, you know, we tend to believe or want to have. My dad was an alcoholic my entire fucking life. You know what I mean? Since the day I was born, my dad drank Hennessy like it was fucking water. You know?
Was he nice when he was drunk? Was he sometimes?
It depended on the day. You know,
Yeah.
it really depended on what I fucking did that day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
If
yeah,
I was up in my shit doing my thing, like, yeah, I would get my ass beat and we would fight all the time, you know, but I don't blame him.
Different time.
Different time back
It was,
then.
dude.
And so, like, obviously, my dad being an alcoholic, which, you know, depending on who you fucking talk to, you know, my mom says this, my dad says this, they end up getting divorced when I was 6, right? Well, let's backtrack a little bit. So, like, when I was born, that's where all my trauma really just started. Like, literally, the second I was born, that's where everything kind of just, you know, took off. So when I was born, my shoulders were too wide. My mom's pelvis was too small. I had like less than a minute to live. And the doctor tried breaking my arm, but when you're a baby, your bones are like rubber. So they don't break.
Yeah.
They just bend.
Like cats.
Correct. So he collapsed my collarbone. And when he did that, he severed the 2 main nerves in the brachial plexus. So it never healed and never grew right. So my left arm is shorter than my right, and with size and the length. So my first surgery, I was 6 months old. That was my first,
wow.
you know, reconstructive surgery on my arm because of what the doctor did. Yeah. So ever since I was 6 months old, I was been on narcotics and, you know, painkillers. I was in physical therapy for the first 11, 12 years of my life, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow.
And I was on.
And what pills come with all that?
Pills comes with it.
Oh,
and then on top of everything else, right, we can get into the dyslexia, the learning disability, you know, the speech impediment, all this other crap, the ADD. So on top of the narcotics, that, you know, for the pain.
I mean, clinical, how many diagnoses did you just hear, brother?
Man.
A lot, huh?
Dr. Wynn's going to be on the show next, all right? We need to make sure we get those in there.
Yeah.
It's so like on top of that, then being diagnosed with ADD and ADHD and learning and all this other crap, I was put on Adderall on a very young
Speedballs
age.
at 11.
Dude, he was doing the
No,
Las
younger.
Vegas cocktail at 5, brother.
I was on Adderall when I was in 5th grade.
Wow.
They put me on Adderall when I was in 5th grade, and I was on that for years, obviously. But that's on top of the physical disabilities, you know, these mental disabilities that you want to call it. I automatically felt different.
Did you get made fun of?
all the time?
Because you can't even tell. I never even knew until
No
you
one
told
does
me.
until
Yeah.
I point it out,
Yeah.
and then it, you know,
Yeah,
it
but-
sticks out like a sore thumb. But growing up, I got picked on. I got bullied because these
hate
teeth,
that.
all my teeth, you know, I paid a lot of money to get them fixed.
Yeah.
I didn't have teeth. They didn't develop. So like I was missing teeth,
Oh.
but it's not because it was drug use. I just didn't develop, you know? So my
Yeah.
little sister had too many teeth and I didn't have enough.
One thing about teeth, I'll just throw a little fun fact out there. When I was a kid, I never lost any of my teeth. I had to get them all pulled.
Really?
I had to get all my baby teeth pulled. They would do like 4 at a clip.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I never developed.
Yeah.
And on top of my parents getting divorced at, 6 years old, on top of everything else, I had no one to lead to, where I thought I didn't have anyone to lean to. And I leaned to drugs and alcohol, right? That was my savior. And before that, like, I'm an addict, man. Like, I played the same song over and over again. I bought the same pair of shoes over and over again, the same shirt, same hat, the same food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I used and abused anything to change the way I felt. And then getting older and you having an alcoholic family and everything else and having pills, you just start, okay, well, let's see what this does, right?
Were you going to multiple doctors once you got a little bit older? Were you doctor shopping? So you're a little younger. So restrictions got tight when I went to prison for writing prescriptions. That was 2003. 2004, it was a little bit easier, and you can go to 4 Fry's pharmacies all on the same goddamn day, and they wouldn't even know.
I was too young back then.
You were too young back then.
So
Okay, that's what I thought.
I didn't go to
they tightened up, dude. All that, you ain't getting away with none of that anymore, right? But you had the scripts. Would you get your script on the 1st of every month, let's just say, and then by the 6th it was gone?
There were 30-day scripts, you know.
Were you running out? Were you buying them off the street?
So that's how I got into heroin.
Yeah.
It's because I ran out of my prescription one day, you know.
And it just makes sense. I try to tell my mom, economically, right? When you do the math,
it's cheaper, lasts longer.
Yeah, I'm critical thinking, Mom. You always wanted me to do that.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, and I also like to tell her.
She doesn't find that funny.
She's not funny. She doesn't find it funny at all. I also tell her, Mom, I was building a resume. Okay? 3 pages like yours. Building a resume for this industry.
Not funny.
I had the foresight to see what was to come.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we didn't really have the foresight to see what was to come.
No.
Let me ask you a question, Blayne. You ever smoke crack?
I love crack. It's one of my favorite drugs.
I knew it, Ron. Could you tell? Could you sniff it out?
I love crack.
for sure.
Yeah, you can tell.
Who doesn't love crack?
Yeah, you can just tell, dude. You can just
Heroin,
tell.
meth, crack, Xanax was my fucking cocktail. That was my jam.
Okay. And so what I also it's a jam. It's a jam, dude.
It's my shit right there.
It's a jam. Let me ask you a question. If you were doing the Las Vegas cocktail that you just said was your jam, what actual jam would you be listening to?
Lil Wayne.
Oh, Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne, Gucci Man.
Oh, 06 Gucci Man?
A little bit.
Okay, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, you don't know nothing about that, dude.
You know what I mean?
What are you listening to? Leonard Skinner or something, dude? Huh? Free Bird on the way
Taylor
here?
T. Swift.
You shaking it off, huh? You shake it off on the way here? Oh, my bad, brother.
Swifty.
Swift.
And you know what? There's a lot of things that are true for all of us in addiction. And one thing that is true is the fucking progression is real, dude.
Sure.
And so you have a gnarly progression, right? Because we're talking about 3 years plus in jail. Can we shout out Fridays? Can we shout out County Jail Fridays, brother? Rice and bean tray, dude. Huh? You got the tortillas? Yeah. I got the squeeze cheese.
Yeah.
It's a party, dude. It's a party on rice and bean night.
Rice and beans.
Brownie night too, though.
Brownie night too, brother. You know, and so I want you to kind of talk about the progression, you know, from high school, the pills, because the pills were a constant theme. I had scripts for all those things, the drinking, all the things that came into the mix, because we're talking jail time. We're talking car wrecks. Ron, he hit a fucking house like me.
You guys got a lot in common.
We do. We hit houses.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hit a house?
No, never hit a house.
Never hit a house. It's a good thing.
No.
Cost him 38 G's is what it cost. A house.
Well, my grandpa paid for the damages in
Shout
the
out
house.
Mom and Dad.
My dad didn't know though.
Add that on the amends, Mom.
I hid that from my family because when I hit that house and was in there, I called my grandpa. It's like, hey, we got a fucking problem. Yeah. You can't tell Dad. Yeah. He kept it hidden for years. And then it all came out. But
shout out, Grandpa.
No, he's
big shout out.
Yep.
And so why don't you just talk a little bit about just the pain that you went through, dude, for so many years, bro. Just the pain of the jail time, the car wrecks, 9 times in treatment. Shout out TLC, Maverick House, Crossroads. It's nothing but the finest for Blayne. That's when I knew
Taj Mahal, baby.
That's when I knew he smoked crack, brother. When he said TLC. Were you the head on the yard of TLC?
No.
They run that shit like a 2-yard over there.
Yeah,
you got to get a chin check just to get a bed. You know what I mean? TLC, you get sober at TLC, dude. Shout out to everyone who did.
I got kicked out for using.
Yeah, checks out.
Within 48 hours.
Yeah, did you kicked out of TLC? You're doing something different.
Yeah, did you buy the dope with ramen soups?
Food stamps. Food stamps.
So why don't you just share, Blayne, just take a minute just to kind of share what the progression looked like, the pain that you felt, and then ultimately the gift of pain and desperation that you get in 2015. So why don't you just share just some of the wreckage and then ultimately what led you to recovery?
Well, I mean, the pain started since I was a kid, you know, like my parents getting divorced when I was 6, my dad being an alcoholic, being molested when I was 8 to 12 years old by a man that I considered my uncle and a man that I considered my cousin, right? So like I was sucking dick at age 8, you know, like no kid needs to fucking experience that. And on top of that, like I said, the physical disabilities and the mental disabilities, in my mind, I was a complete fucking outcast, right? Because back then my friends' parents were still married. They weren't addicts or alcoholics. They were, you know what?
So you see it and you're like,
well, I look at what I thought was normal compared to my friends and look at my life and my environment, and it was a complete fucking shit show. You know what I mean? So like having all of that internal pain that I never fucking expressed because I don't talk about my feelings and emotions. So what did I do? My first drug was violence and anger. That was my first fucking drug, was fighting.
You can relate to that.
You know what I mean? Because that fucking releases everything. Change the way you feel.
You know, when I met Ron, Blayne, he carried a baton and a taser with him at all times.
I have 2 pistols, a baseball bat, and 2 knives in my car right now.
Yeah, you do, because you're coming to treatment today.
You know what I mean?
You better get
That's
in the
just
car.
how it is.
You want to go where?
I just don't, some things just don't fucking go away.
Ron used to break out the taser in my morning meetings. We had a sales company together. He's in the back. Ron, please sit down. Baton. Shrink. I'm like, oh,
Poor
God,
people.
here we go. So, yeah, I can relate to the violence and anger. You know, when we talk about the perfect storm of combinations of trauma, negative emotions, guilt, shame, embarrassment, remorse, regret, dude, you had them all, bro. Like you're a miracle, dude. You know that? Like, you're literally a miracle.
It's hard to believe sometimes.
But you are, dude. Just hearing that out loud, you just rattled it off. Because Ron, you can relate, bro.
Yeah, no, for real. Just going back to, being born and having your shoulder and your arm mangled by the doctor, and then from the moment you could even recall, you felt different, right? And I hear that this far up in your story, that you felt different. You were just trying to fit in, and with the violence, that was your way of coping and dealing with. Because I'm sure if it was like for me, violence made me feel good. It made me feel like I had control. Mm-hmm. I had control of the situation I couldn't control. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I may be different. I got a messed up arm. I come from a messed up family. I've done some messed up things, but I can scare the shit out of you and kick your ass.
Mm-hmm. Well, it took a long time to finally win. You know what I mean? Like, I had to learn.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, bro. Let me tell you this. I got my ass kicked plenty of fucking times.
For sure.
Yeah. Nope.
But there's power in it, even regardless of what the outcome is. If you win or lose, there's still power in that is masking that feeling. And that's going back to, right, drugs and alcohol aren't our problem, it's our solution. And you can put violence in there too, right? Mm-hmm. It's my solution, it's my way to cope and deal with and feel at least equal to you, because you're better than me, because look at you and look at me and look where I came from. And that's going back to saying, as recovery centers, we focus on the mental health aspect. I think that part gets left out for a lot of people.
Health, dude.
Yeah, it's all mental health.
Is what drives our substance abuse.
The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is a mental health book. It has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol, dude.
Starts with the psychic change in the doctor's opinion.
And if you don't know that, you don't know the book, and that's okay. Call me. Come educate you. I'll put you up on game. I would love to sponsor you if I had the time. But just kind of also share, because you had consequences, bro. So not only the trauma, not only feeling different, but you're also experiencing consequences. We're talking 3 years in county jail. I hit a house with a car, dude, on a Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, 5 a.m., ran through that house, but we're here and we're alive and we're able now to be that visual proof to others. So what led up to the gift of pain and desperation, and actually the finding recovery, and the willingness to actually put into action? How does that all culminate? Like, how's it end? Because, when I look at how mine ended, what led me to recovery, I was literally in a restraint chair with a spit mask on, like some Hannibal Lecter, being wheeled through the whole hole. I was in the hole in Kingman, Arizona, right? And Ron, you've been in the hole plenty of times, right? And when you're wheeled down the hallway with the cells on each side, right? And you got a spit mask on, you're in a restraint chair, and you're wiling out because you just were cell warriored and flooded your cell. What do you think everyone's doing that are in their cell? They're yelling and they're screaming, dude. Just picture that, dude. They put me in a porter closet, dude, and I cried, bro.
The Harry Potter closet.
Bro. I really analyzed my life, bro.
Yeah.
And I realized a whole bunch of things, dude. I realized that love is an action word. And in that moment, dude, it became unacceptable to me to show my family, my wife, and my daughter that I hate them, because that's what I was doing, dude. And at that time, I also realized that I was literally the lowest of the lowest. Like, I'm an inmate, so that's already, we're not on the top of the food chain. I mean, we're being herded like cattle, right? Caged. Right? And now I'm like the lowest of the lowest, dude. And that gift right there led me to recovery. What was your gift, Ron?
It was just being beaten into submission, and there was timing. Yeah. There I was facing a 7-year prison sentence on the yard, lost,
Broken.
confused, broken. And for me, it was somebody putting their hand out and giving me this much hope and giving me some cigarettes and a cup of coffee. That's really what it was. That was
just something kind.
Yeah, that kindness brought me, because as you said, I've been in pain and I've had that desperation before. Many, many times I have felt hopeless. I've been in that quicksand they talk about in the big book multiple times. But at that moment, God wears people clothes and worked through this man to put his hand out to me at the right time, to give me a little bit of hope and humanity that this person really cared about me, and it lured me in. And that was the beginning for me, because I didn't know what I was going to do. If he would have came up and handed me a syringe or gave me a paper, welcome to the yard, we're not having this conversation right now.
And my wife is not letting me hang out with you.
No.
Because, we've been friends 15 years.
No,
Yeah.
dude, and I just want to touch on this too, you guys are girl dads, and I love watching you and Adam and you interact with your children, because mine are all grown. I missed all that, but I get to be Uncle Crazy to Bella and Gigi. And I about lost my shit when we were on that same Zoom and Bella's doing self-tanner, and I'm like, hi, Uncle Crazy. And I'm like, will you go put some freaking
Oh my God. I'm literally crying, having a heart attack and panic attack.
Oh my God. And I get to be Uncle Crazy, and I get to watch you interact with your child and Adam and Jason, and I get a front row seat for that. And I love it. And I get to be part of that and witness that in you men. And that all your accomplishments, you being in the industry as long as you have, and all your accomplishments of being self-made and coming up through and being business development. Jason, with you, with all the companies that you've built in the short 4 years of being out of prison, the credibility you have in this industry, all the things that you have accomplished. In my eyes, your number one accomplishment is being a dad. Yeah. That is the number one accomplishment.
Yeah, and we talk about, how, recovery is an experience, right?
Man.
And that's what it's all about, dude. And spoiler alert, we all experience God the same way, right? It's through prayer, meditation, sports, music, goal setting, goal achieving, being present in the relationships in my life, picking my daughter up from school. I didn't pick Bella up from school for 7 years. She was 2 when I went in and 9 when I got out. My daughter right now is 3. Now I was locked up. I didn't see any of this time. So to be able to have this time now, it's just the greatest gift in the whole entire world. But now one's 13. And I might have to rethink that statement.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's why I got Uncle Crazy.
To offset it.
Because when people meet Ron, because Ron's got 11 years sober?
Yeah.
11 years sober. You got almost 10?
In April.
10 in April. You'll have 10 in April. I just celebrated 7.
I have 11
right?
in April.
But man.
April
dude,
what?
April 14th.
Mine's April 6th.
4/14/14.
But,
4/6/15.
shout out to Ron and all his accomplishments. I'll tell you right now, dude, his documentation and skill set is the best in the industry. There's nobody better. And we do not do 1 minute notes at all, because nothing happens in 1 minute. Shout out to the idiots. I'm sorry, I can't go there. Another show type. But I want to say one thing before I get back to Blayne. And the thing I want to say is,
here we go.
People that know 11 years sober, Ron,
Oh yeah.
they think he's soft, right? Because he's the hug guy. He's the I love you. He's the you're matter. He's I care
nurturing
about
now.
you, and he means it when he says it, and you can feel it. And that's why we're so successful at Desert, because we lead with our heart. Like we really give a shit.
It fucks us sometimes.
Yeah,
though.
it does. We do dumb shit all the time. We
it
shouldn't
does.
do. I'm sponsoring a client. Like I got time and should fucking hip on shit. Right? Like, but it's because we're members of the recovery community, dude, and we're responsible, man, and we take that shit seriously. And we're gonna talk about Midtown. Shout out Crossroads Midtown, dude.
Saved my life.
Saved your life. My service commitment for 4 years, sponsored 50 men plus, hired 20 out of there. Didn't work out always, but a couple times it did. Shout out Ricky and Nicole. Big shout out to Ricky and Nicole.
We got an all-star out of Midtown right now. Shout out Randy.
Shout out Randy, Kenny. But also, dude, let's get
Sarah's
back
husband,
to it.
right?
Uh-huh.
That's Sarah's husband?
No, that's Ronnie. Shout out Ronnie.
Shout out Ronnie.
Ronnie G. Hey, he got in the game.
He did.
Big shout out to him. Yeah. But Blayne, what was your gift of pain and desperation? Like, what led you to recovery?
Well, people ask me that all the time, right? People in recovery, people that are not in recovery. So, like, what was your rock bottom that made you, like, Which one?
Like,
Which time?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Because this is the thing, though. And I love that you said this, and I'm not going to just keep talking over you. Maybe we'll do it 5 or 6
you will.
times.
No, you're going to keep doing it.
I'm going to talk over you next time. So you say one word, I'm going to keep open.
Ryan's going to have a talk with you.
Yeah,
after
Ryan's
this.
going to have my ass.
Yeah, he is.
But the gift of pain and desperation, and we think about that. I mean, I paralyzed someone in a car wreck, didn't even try to help, and went and looked for the heroin, right?
What a dick.
The multiple times of the detoxes, right? The treatment centers, the hitting the house with the car, jumping into a campfire and burning my whole arm off. There were so many different times where I had a little bit of willingness, and maybe I made some changes: abstinence, sobriety, maybe a little bit of recovery steps 1, 2, and 3 to 2 conclusions and decision. Didn't even know what I was doing, right? But I was sober. Things got a little bit better. I thought I was going to conquer the world, but I didn't change anything.
Push-ups.
And what I did a bunch of push-ups. Yeah, I was a solid wood, and thought that if I got out and was a solid wood, yeah, everything. I'm Italian. It's confusing. Joey.
Joe.
Does that make sense? Joe, you ever been to county jail, Joe?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, we're gonna run with the woods, brother. Okay?
We'll put money on your books.
Don't worry about
I mean,
it.
for God's sakes, I got peckerwood on my chest. What are we talking about here?
I used to tell Ryan, like, dude, button your shirt all the way up, dog. We gotta go cash a $20,000 check right now.
Stomach's done.
But what led you to recovery, man?
It was literally the combination of all the pain and anger and resentments stacked with hitting rock bottom over and over and over again, right? And that the pain was growing up in a dysfunctional family, having a physical and mental disabilities, being fucking molested, being bullied and picked on and not having any friends growing up. And then obviously due to my addiction, there's a lot of other shit, that on top of, the childhood. Now I have, adult trauma, like boom, get expelled from high school. Got expelled from Mountain Ridge, go to O'Connor, right? Caught my first serious case when I was 18, got rated at 230 because my own dad turned me in. You know what I mean? And my addiction led me to jails, institutions, and death, being revived on waking up and having a needle sticking out of your chest because they just hit your heart with fucking meth.
Pulp Fiction.
Waking up butt naked in the bathtub with an ice cube shoved up your ass. That was my life, man.
Wednesday.
I should do that shit.
We didn't
for
have
fun.
Narcan back then. We didn't. Literally, we didn't have Narcan, right? And having been convicted of a handful of felonies and misdemeanors, and at the very end of my rope, when I finally got clean this time at 24 years old, it was the combination of everything, man. The felonies, the probation, the family, the assaults, the list goes on. And my family,
So much, dude.
Dude, I mean, I can sit here for hours and just go through everything.
It's a
But
miracle, bro.
the biggest thing is I'm Italian, man. My family is everything.
Shout out.
We're Sicilian.
There's
right?
2 types of people in this world. You got 4 paisans sitting here. Hey, Joe, we'll count you, brother.
We'll get him in here.
Joe's here. Right?
But family's everything to us.
100%,
And
dude.
at this time, when I was at 24, I had just gotten out from a violation, and my family didn't talk to me. I have 3 sisters and a brother, right? I have 2 sets of parents, and they didn't talk to me or see me for 8 years, man. Like, cut me off for fucking years. Granted, my dad was there, texting, and he would give me money and whatnot, but my mom wasn't. My oldest sister was there periodically, but for the most part, 98% were gone for 8 years. And I was living in a gutter in I-17 in Greenway for 6 years. That was my home. Like, I was a true fucking homeless guy, doing my shit. And I violated, went back, got out, and I called my dad. And I'm like, hey, I'm out again. He's like, so what are you going to do differently now? And I'm like, well, I want treatment. He's like, whatever. Yeah. I convinced him to send money to my account, and I ended up going on a week run. I went on a fucking week run, and I got out on a Monday, got the money that day, and then Sunday rolls around, right? And this is April 5th of 2015, the day before I get clean. And I'm living in the gutter, like I just said. And my mattress, there was an apartment complex next door, and those lounge chairs, that was my mattress, right? And I'm not kidding you, I had a fucking tarp, and I was a legit homeless guy.
Yeah.
And I woke up and it was raining. It was
You're like, I don't like that shit.
I woke up and it was cold. I was dope
what?
sick and I was freezing, and I couldn't hit a fucking vein, man. I'm sitting there, I'm bawling for 45 minutes. Couldn't hit a fucking vein.
Dude.
I remember calling my dad, I'm out of money. I'm dope sick. I'm trying to hit, and my fucking rig's getting coagulated. You know what I mean? Nothing's fucking working. Call my dad again, broken. And he could tell.
He could tell something was
he
different.
could hear it in my voice.
That you were
He's
serious.
like, so what's the plan? I'm like, I called Crossroads. They have a bed for me. I just need a bus ticket to get down there in 16th Street in Thomas, and I'm on I-17 in Greenway. So he transfers like $25 in my account or some shit, you know, for the ATM, the $3 fee, whatever. So I pull $20 out. I get a pack of smokes and I get a day bus pass and I
shoot the Crossroads.
I did with the little suitcase of everything I owned. A little suitcase of everything I owned with a cell phone, no family, no money, broken, on probation. They extended it 3 years just because I violated. You know what I mean?
They like to do that.
Yeah, you know. So I walked my ass to Crossroads, dope sick. And I was waiting in the waiting room, and they said, we have a place at Arcadia. And I said, fuck you. I'd rather go shoot dope. I'm going back to Midtown. And then John House was the director back then. And of course, I was really good friends with John. And I call him. He's like, Blayne, you can come back, but we don't have a bed. I don't give a fuck. I'll sleep in the grass. I'll sleep on the couch. I just need to come back.
Need to be there. Yeah.
And he's like, all right, we'll make it happen. So I took the bus from 16th Street Thomas to 13th Avenue in Indian School with the little suitcase. And I walked in and immediately put me in a cot in the back house next to the washer and dryer in the hallway. And I detoxed for 11 days straight cold turkey until I was able to get up and start.
Dude, I was just at Midtown like 2 weeks ago and they were telling me about, they're like, yeah, at times we had the ability, we would detox people over here with our team. And I'm like, oh shit.
That was me, man. Back in 2015, I was throwing up, shitting all over myself in that fucking hallway.
Let's give a shout out really to Crossroads.
Yeah, shout out Chris Riley and Crossroads.
Crossroads has had such an effect on Phoenix as a whole.
Yeah.
Still does.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, for sure. But just Crossroads does amazing work and they go above and beyond. And, you know, right now with Chris Riley at the helm, you know, what a great leader to be leading this movement, because we need more Crossroads.
Yeah.
We need more.
And if you want to hear Chris Riley's story, listen to one of our episodes. We had him on the show. He shared his whole story. So check it out. I mean, we've had Esther Wallace from Cornerstone, CEO. You know, the biggest goal here is to really start to bring on, like we have been, CEOs of other companies, breaking the stigma that it's every man for themselves in this industry, because we're much stronger together. Dude, every 4 minutes, someone died from a fentanyl overdose. It's probably 3 minutes now, right? So there's plenty of people that need help, right? And together we're much stronger.
Last year, enough lethal doses of fentanyl were confiscated. Lethal doses were confiscated in the United States of America, that every American could get 2 lethal doses. Every pill, every piece of fentanyl that has been confiscated around the country can be traced back to one place, and that's Arizona. It all comes through Phoenix. Every single bit of it. This is the epicenter of the fentanyl epidemic, and it's not getting any better.
No. But you happen to get better, right? So let's talk about
Let's go. Let's go.
Just straight miracle, right? Everything that you've been through. And so you get to Crossroads, you spend 11 days detoxing. You finally, you know, the cobwebs clear out, so you have a better chance of understanding and accepting what they have to offer, right? And then you gravitate towards it. You get a sponsor. You work the steps, H&I commitments, service commitments. I mean, you're doing the deal, and that's why we're sitting here today, 10 years later, just about in April, right? And business and everything that we do together, right? It's because of that foundation of recovery. So why don't you just take a moment just to kind of share just that journey of getting a sponsor and working the steps and then ultimately becoming a professional in this industry?
So that my recovery, I had to change it up, you know, and like it's been
9 times.
Well, it's not, I mean, yes, 9 times, but you know, those are in and out, you know what I mean? Like a couple days, couple weeks, you know, the PO, mom, dad, the shit, like I didn't want to be there. But recovery to me, it changed when I went to Crossroads for this last time, for the 3rd time. I was in the smart recovery, right? For the first 30 days, you're locked down.
Was it Mr. T?
Mr. William.
Yeah, Mr. William. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Bill Bentley was in there as well. I fucking love him.
Yeah, he's great.
But back then, NA wasn't that big, you know what I mean? In treatment centers, and they still really aren't that big. So I did AA just because it was readily available and everybody in there did it, right? Yeah. So I was that arrogant fuck when I introduced myself. My name's Blayne and I fucking shot, you know, I shoot heroin, right? That was my shit because I shot fucking heroin for 10 years. Yeah. So like, I didn't fuck with anybody that didn't fuck with heroin or crack. You know what I mean? If you were an alcoholic or you're in there for, you know, meth.
That's why we get along so
good. You know what I mean? You weren't a fucking dope fiend. Like you haven't done the shit I did to obtain my shit. So I did AA and I did that for a while. And I finally took the suggestions that was laid out in front of me. I grabbed a sponsor. I started doing H&I. I started working my steps. I had a home group. I was doing the deal. And I'd completed my 12 steps in AA in 4 months. And I was still, the desire to get loaded was still there. I struggled, right? So AA got me clean, right? And I'll be forever grateful for AA. But at 4 months, 5 months, I had to make a switch to NA because I didn't feel like I was a part of AA. You know what I mean? That's just who I was. Yeah. And back then, right, things are changed now, 10 years later. You couldn't identify as an addict, and you couldn't say you shot heroin.
Yeah,
the alcoholics, I dislike that. Yeah, you don't belong here. You belong in the other fellowship. So I already struggled with not feeling part of. Yeah. So now I'm trying to get recovery.
Now I'm not even a part of this.
You know what I mean? This is fucked. Yeah. So I went to NA, and I could talk about fucking a sheep, and you know what I mean? They clap and say welcome. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like that was my people. So I switched to NA when I had 4 or 5 months. And that's where that's my recovery really jumped in. I'm not saying I wasn't invested in AA, but NA is where I gravitated.
Well, that's what I love about it, because when I have sponsees that I take them through the steps and then they want to continue breaking out that NA step working guide for like the next level. I mean, there's 86 questions for step 1? Just
69.
About 69. The grip. There's a lot of questions.
But there's questions inside the questions.
So there's questions that the next question is very similar, but you get a different answer. It's
way more in depth.
It's extremely thorough. It's extremely in depth. And I really like it to double back and redouble our efforts with NA. I mean, shout out to all the fellowships.
But we have our own literature. We're the only fellowship that have our own literature, the step working guide, how it works. And
I just like my recovery uncut. You know what I mean? I like the real McCoy. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here we go. Here we go.
And so you work the steps, you get a sponsor, you do all the things, and then you switch to NA. And is there something in NA that just there's a moment where you're like, oh shit? Or it was just the because it's connection, it's community. That's what recovery is. If every single person at Desert Recovery Centers that graduated, we hired and kept with us, they would all be successful. I could promise you that. I mean, maybe not all of them, but
a good amount of them.
But a good amount of them would be, because it's about connection. So was it that connection that you felt there?
Camaraderie in the connection, right? So like, I hate when people identify as an alcoholic addict. That's just one of my pet peeves, right? Because I was that naive kid when people said, I'm an alcoholic addict. Well, oh fuck, well, I'm a drug addict. I don't have a problem with alcohol, right? So that told me there were 2 different diseases. Yeah. So I fucking experimented with some alcohol, and before you know it, I stuck a needle back in my arm within 30 minutes, and somebody in the state of Arizona got robbed within 30 minutes every fucking time. So like, when it comes to identifying as an addict, I have to. You know what I mean? I have to identify as an addict, because to me, I will fuck, because it's socially acceptable when it comes to alcohol and everything else. Yeah. But it was the camaraderie and the people that were involved in NA. They were a lot more welcoming, right? On the lifestyle that I choose. And guess what? 98% of them did the exact same shit I did. Yes. So they could relate. And I could talk to them about situations that I went through that the people I've talked to in the past have no experience with, And what really made me stick to NA is they're very, very heavy in service, right? And you have to follow what they say are the 5 suggestions. And that's what gravitated towards me, right? There was 1 promise and 1 purpose and 5 suggestions, right? The 1 purpose is to carry the message to the still suffering addicts, right? The only promise, we have 1 promise, and that's freedom from active addiction, as long as you follow the 5 suggestions, right? And that's, you have a sponsor.
Should be directions, but
it should be sponsor, steps, home group, meeting, and service. Yeah. So you follow those 5 suggestions, and the 1 promise comes true.
And you did all those things, and the promise is still true today.
It's the formula.
I went to a meeting every single day, probably for a year and a half. Every single day, I went to a meeting. And then after that, after my daughter was born, right, your window of opportunity for recovery dramatically decreases. And I went to 3, 4 meetings a week. Then obviously, over the years, it's, dwindled, but I'm still heavily involved in recovery. I still have a sponsor, I still work the steps, I still go to meetings. I'm still have service commitments. Like, I'm still doing everything with 10 years clean. We're almost 10 years clean, right?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
What a small world, too. I want to make this connection. So we have a friend in common, Steve
Bignani.
Steve, my guy.
It's my sponsor.
And he's actually coming out to the prison this weekend to share his message after his home group. Do you go to the home group on Saturday, whatever meeting he goes to? So he's going to go to home group on Saturday. He's going to come up. And I've known Steve for years. And Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I've known he's the godfather of my daughter.
Yeah,
he's my
so
sponsor.
awesome.
That's my best friend. You know, like I love that man. He
Yeah.
has saved me from more shit than in my recovery.
We need
you know?
we need each other so bad it's not even funny, dude. And so ultimately though, like a lot of us, right? We find this purpose of helping others. We realize that we have a skill set and the ability to motivate, to inspire, to utilize our past to help others, to be visual proof that there is hope and you can do it, to be able to line out recovery in a way where you know that the power from the knowledge comes from the application of it. So you know how to apply it in your day-to-day life to actually create change, to feel better, to create that psychic change. But it takes a home group, it takes a sponsor, it takes a service commitment, it takes meetings, it takes H&Is, it takes all those things because I shot dope for fucking 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 30 days in Midtown, dude, and good. Even that prison mat don't check out.
No,
Nope.
no,
65% didn't happen this year, right? And, you know, and then you make that jump. So what I like to just kind of close with really is just the professional, dude, because you and Adam, dude, you guys are on fire, dude. Your guys' synergy together, dude, it's insane, dude. We couldn't have built a better team. Or your production, your work, dude. I don't even call you, bro. I don't need to call you.
Yeah.
Unless like, I don't need to because I know you're working your ass off. And that's what makes this thing work, you know? So, but you didn't just start out killing it, right? You started out like a lot of us did, right? As fucking BHTs, overnights, weekends.
Overnight.
You know, I started out at $16 an hour. You started out at $11 an hour, right?
Back in 2000, yeah.
And I'm 2021. I started out at $16.50 in April of 2021. Couldn't even believe it, dude. Right. And so why don't you just share that professional progression from BHT and just kind of what that professional ladder looked like so we can just kind of get an idea of it.
Yeah. So obviously working in this industry was not by choice. It was essentially forced on me by my oldest sister, Melissa. And because at that time I went to Crossroads, Midtown, did their full program, 126 days. And then I went to Sober Living for another 4 months after. And right before my Sober Living shut down, I was working at Jackson's Car Wash with Adam, right? Yeah. We were working 6-7 days a week, taking the fucking bus to make ends meet. We just gotten clean. And I ended up getting in a fist fight with my boss at Jackson's Car Wash, so I had to fucking leave, obviously. And then
towels weren't dry all
no, man.
They're never dry all the way, huh, Joe? They're never dry.
And I couldn't, so I didn't have a job. And then 3 days later, I got a note on my bed at the Sober Living, like, hey, we're shutting down. Got 1 week. Yeah, got evicted from my Sober Living. So I called my oldest sister. I'm like, hey, my Sober Living shut down. And this is, at this time, obviously my family had nothing to do with me, right? My family didn't come back to my life until I had 1.5 years clean, right? So she was really the only one that was there. She said, okay, well, you can come sleep on my couch. Okay, cool. So I slept on her couch with Adam, right? Because I lived with them. And I was moping around, right? Feeling sorry for myself.
Fucking sad.
I was, man. I just fucking lost my job, lost my house. Like,
it's over.
I'm fucking clean. I didn't do anything wrong, right? And she's like, well, if you're going to live here, you're not going to sit around, so you're going to come work for me. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going to go work with a bunch of drug addicts and alcoholics. They're annoying as fuck and they're needy. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? I'm just not doing it. And of course, I lost that battle. So she hired me as the overnight BHT at the mail house at Desert Cove. And within the first week, I fell in love.
Yeah, shout out Chris Body, dude.
Yep, Chris Body over there.
Yeah.
That was my first job in recovery, was Desert Cove. Started as an overnight BHT. And like I said, within a week, I fell in love and I fully committed. I'm like, this is my jam.
Cool.
This is this is going to be a career. You know, like this is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Shooting, doing armed robberies. You can't really put it on a
resume.
You ran on a resume these days. And so I jumped into it head first. And within probably a month or two, I got promoted to, days, and then became lead. It was like, I don't know, they had a weird title. It was like the lead day shift,
same ladder.
And then I became supervisor of that house, right? So I was a supervisor for a while. Then they promoted me to a therapist because I worked with the clients so well. So I was a therapist for a decent amount of time. And then I got the opportunity to go over to soul surgery. So Mary, she was the old nursing director at Desert Cove. And she went over to soul surgery. It's like when we have an
opening, I'm calling you.
When we have
an opening, dude, I'm calling you.
3 weeks later, I get a call on a Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Hey,
we're going to hire you. Yep, come over here. So I put my 2 weeks in and went over to soul surgery and built that company from the ground up, right? And that's where my career really took off. So I was over there and they hired me as a lead therapist, and I was a lead therapist for a while.
Speaks to his intelligence, right?
Like, it's because it was small, you know what I mean? We're just getting built and like we can talk recovery, like that's what it was. So I did that for a while. Then I got promoted to compliance officer. Then I was clinical manager. And then, one morning at 8:00, John drops
morning meeting.
Yep, you're now doing BD and admissions.
By the way, I'm going to add from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. phone calls.
Saturday
Not a
and
big
Sunday
deal.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clinical by day, BD and admissions by night. And I did that for 3 months. 3 months I was doing dual.
Yeah.
And I was bringing in more people than, full time. It's like, this is what you're going to do. And then our BD director at the time, John, ended up firing. He was like, you're in. You're in.
Yeah, you're in.
I became the BD director, and I was there for BD director probably 5 years.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the program of recovery that he worked. It's because, dude, he knew the 5 things, dude. He knew the promise. He knew all the things because he's living it, dude.
Sure.
And that's what I love about recovery, because addiction's progressive. Yes, we all know that. But recovery is also progressive as well. It gets progressively better if you're actually working. Always, dude. It's for us all right here. It's been progressively getting better for you for 11 years, 9 years and 3/4 and some change. Right?
Getting
7
close.
years just picked up for me, dude. My life has gotten better, and better. So, and just being able to hear everything that you've been through, dude, dude, I didn't know a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're a full-time miracle.
We
dude.
just touched on, we didn't even scratch
Right,
the
I know.
surface.
I know that, right?
But the cool thing is, though, for me, this is my number one goal, and it has been since I found out I was having a kid or a daughter, was not to end up like my father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is my number one goal. And guess what? My daughter is 7 years old, and she's never seen me fucking loaded.
That's right.
She's never seen me
that's right.
She's never seen me get arrested, bulletproof glass, never stick a needle in my neck. You know what I mean? Like she knows me for who I am today. And that is the biggest blessing. I can care less if this company goes under, I lose my house, everything else. I could care less if that happens. As long as my daughter never has to see me loaded, then fuck it.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm killing the game.
Yeah.
Gonna make
I'm not going to say I'd be miserable, because it would suck to lose
I'm a
everything.
soft girl dad these days.
Soft.
I'm soft like you, brother. I might try you right now, dog. You feeling soft?
I am.
Yeah. Bet
The
you
father's love, man, to a daughter.
How does
It's the greatest gift in the world, bro.
It's nothing like this.
It is truly the greatest gift. And dude, we're miracles. Dude, we're all miracles. And that's what makes Desert Recovery Centers so exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Because we're a bunch of miracles, dude, that are on fire. Doesn't matter, 10 years, 11 years, 7 years. Doesn't matter, dude. We're still on fire for this thing.
We have staff that have what, a year?
Maybe
2 not even
years.
that.
Yeah.
And they're fucking killing it too.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like clean time does not equal recovery.
Sure.
There's people that I know have 3 years, that have a year and a half that I would let sponsor me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, we have a wide range of staff that with clean time, with all the same fucking energy.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to everyone before we close the show, because, shout out to Desert and the team, yourself as well, Ron, Ash, Dr. Wynn, who's coming on the show next. Dude, we got Joint Commission accreditation, the highest accreditation in the nation, right? Keeps the state away for 3 years. I mean, we got the gold seal, the gold star. 3 days a surveyor was out with Ron, myself, and we went through every single thing. 2,000 possible infractions and compliance issues. Out of 2,000, we got 12. And 10 out of those 12 we fixed on the spot.
day.
I did the plan of corrections, had the license and the certification accreditation within 15 minutes, dude. Like, we crushed that. We did it ourselves in the midst of opening a third property, in the midst of marketing, in the midst of
billing and marketing.
New billing. I mean, in the midst of it all,
Fucking disaster.
we took the time to meet every single day for 90 days to be able to do this thing. And what
Forget about the massive audit.
The UHC.
We also just cleared an audit. I mean, everybody gets audited, and we were under an audit, and we had to clear it. We had to submit every piece of documentation from year to date for United Healthcare, and we did that, and we crushed it by over 6% of what we needed. Shout out to Ron, dude. Ron is
That was
Kipu.
time consuming.
And I just want to put this out there, anyone who's ever done a survey with ADHS, anyone who's ever had Joint Commission out there, it's stressful. You can be the most prepared company in the world. It's stressful. But when you have an EHR that you don't have to worry about, dude, you don't know how good that feels.
That's the bulk of the problems.
Yeah, don't ask me for a raise right now. But dude, I love you, bro.
I love you too,
And
man.
if any of these other companies try to steal you, dude, I swear to God, I'll get into character defect and I'll use step 9.
Hey, hey, I just want to say this, Blayne. I knew, but I didn't know, you know, and now I've gotten a piece of your journey, and it's just, you are a living, breathing miracle. I know it's easy for us to say that, but you are, bro. And, you know, let that always shine through. That experience, that love inside of you that you have, you know, you being a girl dad, that mission of no matter what happens, I'm going to be a good father. No matter what, my daughter's never going to see A, B, C, and D. And I know that someone's listening right now, and there's somebody waiting to hear you say that, because there's someone who's struggling right now with everything that you've been through. And it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to get that message out, to have people, us be that living, breathing example. And you are, man. So, you know, you're going to save some lives. And I know some people are going to hear this episode, but just in how you go about your daily activity. And I don't care what, fella, I don't get caught up in the NAAC. I don't get caught up in none of that, because what it's all about connection. It's all about those relationships, no matter how you chop the steps up. It's about repairing that relationship with yourself, repairing that relationship with God, repairing that relationship with others, then maintaining that relationship. And that's where you're at right now, is you're maintaining that relationship with everybody around you. So continue being you. You're unique. You're awesome. You know, just keep being that example. People need that, bro.
I appreciate that. And
it's a big deal.
The biggest thing for me, it's like recovery, it's attraction rather than promotion, right? And to me, it's you do the next right thing. People are watching you.
They're watching.
Yeah, they're watching.
They're watching.
Shout out to everyone who's watching.
And I want to end it with this, if we're going to end.
Yeah.
So when I first got clean, right, I was 24 years old. I was the only drug addict and alcoholic in our family, right? I was the only problem, okay? So after the years of me getting clean and doing the next right thing and, you know, building up my clean time, all of a sudden my family members have fucking problems now, right?
No.
So guess what?
Guess who gets...
My little sister gets 6 years clean in April.
Yeah.
So she has 6 years. My dad, right, been alcoholic my entire life, has 17 years sober now.
Let's go.
Shout out, Pops.
My stepmom got sober with him. She didn't need to, but just for support, she has 17 months sober.
Yes.
My brother, right, he's sober now, hasn't drank. He's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And my middle sister, she's working on it, right?
Yes, dude.
She's going to therapy and trying to do all of that. Yeah. And guess what? Adam, he got clean after me too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then my aunt, she's also trying to, you know, sober up. So like when I get clean and by doing the next right thing, right, and showing that recovery matters, my internal family, my immediate family gets sober, right? And now we all have the best relationships. I was the problem, right? Years ago. Now I'm the rock that holds the family together.
So
right.
Awesome.
So now I get to go on this recovery journey with my immediate family, and it's fucking awesome.
They call that the ripple effect, my friend.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
That's the ripple effect.
From a trembling, nervous wreck emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but couldn't bring myself to feel that I'd known him before. To me, he was a stranger. A long time has passed with no return to drugs and alcohol.
There it is.
Right? Because, dude, and that was the same thing that happened to me. We'll close, dude. I walked into my first 12-step meeting only because I owed someone some money, dude. I gave him fake Western Union numbers. Shout out, Josh.
Piece of shit.
Fake numbers. I wrote them down on the way over, dude. Right? Here you go, brother. Right? And I walked into that meeting, dude, and it was what I saw, dude. Is what I saw as visual proof that if they can do it, I can do it too. Because I knew that they were just as bad as me because we were doing it together. And now I barely recognize them. The look in their eyes, the tone of their voice, how high they held their head, how straight their shoulders were, what they were saying and speaking. And dude, it blew my hair back. And that's exactly what I needed, dude, was someone to blow my damn hair back and shut up for a minute, dude. So I know that in all the countries that we're in, everyone that hears the podcast, we appreciate all the listeners. We love you. It's all love and gratitude at all times. But I know there's going to be someone, maybe many people who hear your message and they want to reach out. Desert Recovery Centers, it does not matter your financial situation. It does not matter what insurance company you have. If you need help, just call us. We will find you a bed. We will coordinate care. We will work around the clock. If we're full, we will work for hours to find you the best possible solution. So Blayne, if someone wants to get in touch with us, Desert Recovery Centers, how could they find us?
Well, there's multiple different ways. One, you can go to our website, right? DesertRecoveryCenters.com. And if you go to the website, there's click to actions. You can run your insurance and we can verify it before we even reach out. We even have a chat online on our website. So the second you pop up on our website, our chat pops up.
It's him.
It's all of us.
Yeah, it's
it
all of
pops
us,
up, right? So if you don't want to talk to us over the phone, you know what I mean? You can email us off the website. We can do the verification of benefits off the website. We can do a chat off the website. And then if you want to talk to us directly, the phone numbers. And it goes directly to me and Adam's or Adam and I's phone. And we are available literally 24/7 from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So that is how they can reach out. We can schedule a tour. You can meet the staff, and
dude, we're here.
We are here.
We're here. Ronnie, no matter what, on TikTok, Jason and Sarah, Desert Recovery Centers, Powerless2Powerful Podcast. Dude, you can find us anywhere. We are all over the place. Look us up. And
Instagram, Facebook, Google.
Everywhere.
Every platform.
We're on every platform. And if you or anyone is suffering from drugs and alcohol and you've lost hope, we're here to love you to get better. We're here to give you that hope. If you listen to Blayne's story and his message today and everything he's been through, if you hear that and don't think you can do it, we're here to help you believe in yourself again. So please reach out to Desert Recovery Centers. We love you and we don't even know you yet. Tune into the next episodes. Episodes dropping every week. We got a new studio.
Let's go.
We're in a new studio. Looks professional. We'll see how they do the first episode, but Joey's in the back. He's a paisan.
Joey. Joey.
Big shout out to the team here. I don't want to put the name out there because that's how good they are.
Yeah.
But we love all of our
off.
listeners. We appreciate you. Tune in to the next episode. And have a great day and a good night and take action for yourself because you matter.